All right, so let's build a platformer in Godot. So this is a brand new project. Just opened up Godot 4.3. And we're going to go ahead and create a new 2D scene. We'll call this one level 1. And let's go ahead and go to save our scene. And what we need is a couple new folders. So we'll do an assets folder. We'll do a scenes folder. And we will create a scripts folder. This will just help us stay organized. So since this is a scene, we'll go ahead and save level 1 in our scenes folder and save. So first things first, we want to import some of our assets into our assets folder. So I've gone ahead and downloaded these assets, and I will leave a link in the description where you can grab them if you want to follow along. So let's go ahead and we'll pull in our Mossy Cavern assets. Those are going to be our tiles. Okay, and then you can see here our Mossy Cavern. We've got a bunch of different folders. So our Blue Wizard, Mossy Tileset, and this is what we're going to use to build out our level. So the first thing that we want to do is over here on our node tree, we're going to come down under level 1. And let's just add a node, and this is just going to be a regular node that doesn't do anything. It's just going to hold our tile maps. And in Godot 4.3, we have a new way of handling tile maps called Tilemap Layers. So we can start with adding a Tilemap layer node, and we'll call this one ground. And then as soon as we create a new tilemap layer, what we need to do is over here on Tileset, we can click New Tileset, and then you click on that. And what this is going to do is the tile sets that I'm using here for the example are 512 by 512. So by default, it's going to say 16 by 16, and we're going to change that to 512 by 512. And that's going to give us this nice grid. Now, to actually add our tile sets to add our tiles to the tile set, down here at the bottom, you'll see we're in Tilemap mode. So we want to go to Tileset, and then we can actually just drag over. So let's see which one. This one right here looks good. We'll drag this over. It says, would you like to automatically create tiles in the atlas? We'll say yes. And so if you didn't update the tile size before doing this step, it's going to be pretty weird, but it will just sort of cut them apart for you. So now we can just come over here to tile map. You can't paint on the level in tile set mode, so we got to go back to tile map mode. Make sure you get your pencil icon selected here, and then we can just sort of like start building out our level. So we can just, click the tile that you want to use, and then build out the level. Okay, so I've got my ground set up here, but my player is going to fall through the ground if we don't have some sort of collision detection set up. So let's go ahead and, at least for these tiles that have to do with the top, we're going to go ahead and set up physics data on these so that the player can collide. To do that, over here on the right, if you click tile set to bring up just where we had put 512 by 512, and under physics layers we're going to add an element. So we add this, and then this is going to create a physics layer. So what this lets us do now is we can come over to tile set and select paint, and then under select a property editor we can select physics layer 0. So what this is going to let us do now is come in here and click which tiles should collide with the player. Now you'll see up here we've got on these top 3 tiles, the actual like collision goes a little bit outside. So what we want to do is, yeah, there we go. So we're going to bring this down some, and this is going to change the shape that we apply to these tiles. So now we've got a little bit of grass poking up through the top, and that's going to be nice because our player is not going to be like standing in the air above the grass. And so that's all we need to do for right now to make our ground solid. So we will, keep building out the level here. So I want to add like some stuff above here and make it kind of like feel more like a sort of like a cave. So let's add in another tile map. Let's see, this one might be good actually. We'll say yes, we want to create a new tile map. So now you'll see here we've got this like long vertical one, which would be really cool if it were horizontal instead. So what we can do is we can right click on these and we can create alternative tiles. And what this is going to do is it's going to put these over here on the right hand side as alternative tiles, and Godot's actually going to let us like change a little bit about these. So I actually want to do both sets, and you just go down each one of these and just create the alternative. All right, and then see here we've got all of these. So what we can do now is, I think under rendering. So Godot has this flip H and flip V, so that's flip horizontal and flip vertical, and so we can change them like that if we want. It also has this transpose, which is interesting. So like if you transpose and flip vertical, it's actually going to make it be this horizontal shape. So this is how, like, if you've only got a few tiles, you can change their orientation from the same tile map. It's a little cumbersome to do all of these, but you just go through one at a time and flip them all. All right, now that they're all flipped, we can hop back over into Tilemap mode and make sure our pencil is selected, and we can start to paint these on. Okay, so now that we've got our ground layer set up, what we're going to want to do is create another tile map layer. And let's just, while we're in here, let's go ahead and go to our project settings, and then we can change our background color. So right over here under rendering environment, then we have our default clear color. And so like, let's just pick something that's kind of, maybe like a dark greenish blue. That's kind of a cool color. So that'll just be more interesting than just that boring gray. So now what we can do is we'll create another tile map layer. And again, we need to create a new tile set. We'll open it up, 512 by 512. And let's do tile set. Hanging plants looks like a good option. So we can kind of change our margins here a little bit to get the things into position how we would like them. So I'm going for this one right here. So I can go ahead and tile map, and then we will be able to like hang these in different places. Maybe we'll hang a couple of these too. And then, so we'll call this one hanging plants. And then we'll drag this above the ground. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give us this nice, like, it's going to put the plants behind the ground tile set. And then so we can do one more. Let's do another tile map layer. Let's call this one background. And what we can do here is, again, we'll create a new tile set, open it up, 512 by 512. And which one do we want for this? Probably this one, the background decorations. And then, so we can just grab some of these like this. And we'll just throw these kind of randomly around the level. And you can see here it's kind of grabbed another set, another edge of a tile. So we'll just try to like get those to be underneath as much as we can. And then we'll grab this, move it back there, and then we can actually go into visibility and modulate, and we'll bring our opacity down on those. And then I'll just give it kind of like a nice, cool, like little look. So you can kind of, mess around with this as much as you want. Like we could add, one more node if we want, just to call, plants in the front. Again, new tile set, 512 by 512. And for this one, I think what has the little plants? Is it decorations? Yeah, so we'll pull in decorations. Say yes. And then here you can kind of grab our little plants. Now, what's interesting here is our plants. Well, first of all, I think we need to adjust this because we've got this little edge of this guy coming in, and we don't really want him coming in. So we'll just change margins over a little bit, and we'll do that. So we're just getting our plant and not having that extra stuff. So what we can do is see how these plants are kind of up in front and floating in the air. We don't want them floating in the air. So what we can do is we'll come over here on the right hand side with our plant level selected, and we can transform and we can just bring that down, or I guess up. So we just change the y-axis here until we get them kind of sitting where we want them to sit, which would be sort of like right around the top of that grass. And then we'll just drag them right below ground, and now they look nice like they're coming out of the ground. So we can check out our level. I think this looks pretty good. Oh, you know what? Let's fix this. So our hanging plants, we're kind of catching the side of this here. So again, maybe we need to adjust our tile set margins a little bit. So we'll bring that back that way some. Yeah, and then now we don't have quite the same issues with our hanging plants here. So we can probably also do that with our background. So we grabbed this one. Yeah, and it's bringing in just a little bit of that. So we'll bring the margin over just a tad. And then that's going to move them all a little bit, but they're going to look way nicer now. So there we go. We have our level kind of set up and ready to go. So I think next up we should work on adding a character.